Close your eyes and imagine walking through heavy glass doors into a world that doesn't exist anymore. The year is 1975, and you've just stepped into Macy's Herald Square in New York City on a Saturday afternoon. The first thing that hits you isn't what you see, it's what you smell. A mixture of perfume from the cosmetics counter, leather from the shoe department, and that distinct scent of new clothing that somehow smelled different back then. This wasn't just shopping. This was an experience, an event, a destination. And if you're under 40, you have absolutely no idea what you missed. Department stores in the 1970s were cathedrals of commerce, and I'm not being dramatic. These weren't the sad, empty shells you see in dying malls today. These were multi-story monuments to American retail where families would spend entire Saturdays, where teenagers got their first jobs, where your mother would get dressed up just to go buy a new dress. The department store was the Amazon of its era, except you could actually touch things, talk to people who knew what they were selling, and you didn't have to worry about getting a counterfeit product shipped from a warehouse in New Jersey. Let's start with what made these places special. And I mean really special. The moment you walked into a major department store like Gimbels, Abraham and Straus, or Bloomingdale's, you knew you were somewhere important. The ground floor was always cosmetics and perfumes, and this wasn't an accident. This was strategic. The cosmetics counter in a 1970s department store was staffed by women who looked like they'd stepped out of a magazine. Full makeup, perfectly styled hair, usually wearing the store's uniform, which looked more elegant than most people's church clothes. These women didn't just sell you lipstick. They gave you a consultation. They'd sit you down, test colors on your hand, explain undertones, and make you feel like you were getting a professional service, not just buying a product. And here's something that'll blow your mind if you've only ever known modern retail. You could try the perfume. Really try it. Not just a quick spritz from a tester bottle that 100 people have touched. No, the saleswoman would spray it on a paper strip, wave it gently so you could smell it properly, and if you were interested, she'd apply it to your wrist and tell you to walk around the store for 20 minutes to see how it developed on your skin. This level of service was standard, not special. It was just how things worked. Moving past cosmetics, you'd find the elevator operator. Yes, an actual human being whose job was to operate the elevator. Going up, second floor, ladies' fashion and lingerie. Third floor, children's wear and toys. Fourth floor, home goods and furniture. The elevator operator knew the store layout better than anyone and could direct you exactly where you needed to go. They weren't just button pushers. They were guides. And often, they'd been working that same elevator for 20 years. They knew the regular customers by name. Let's talk about the actual shopping experience, because this is where things get really different from today. You wanted a new suit? You didn't grab something off a rack, check the price tag, and hope it fit. You were approached by a salesperson, usually an older gentleman in menswear who'd been selling suits since Eisenhower was president. He'd ask you questions. What's the occasion? What's your budget? What colors do you typically wear? Then he'd disappear into the back and return with 4 or 5 options you hadn't even seen on the floor. He'd help you try them on, pin the pants for tailoring right there in the dressing room, and the store would alter the suit for free or for a minimal charge. You'd pick it up the following week, perfectly fitted, and it would last you 10 years. Women's fashion departments were even more elaborate. There were separate sections for juniors, misses, and matrons, and the saleswomen could tell at a glance which section you belonged in. They weren't being rude, they were being helpful, because the cuts and styles were actually different for different age groups and body types. If you were shopping for a special occasion, you could make an appointment with a personal shopper. Not a celebrity personal shopper, just a regular service the store offered. This person would pull together complete outfits based on your needs, your body type, and your budget. And you'd have a private showing in a dedicated room. This service was free. You only paid if you bought something, and there was no pressure if you didn't. The toy department in a 1970s department store deserves its own discussion because it was magical in a way that Target's toy aisle will never be. F.A.O. Schwartz in New York, Marshall Field's in Chicago. These places had toy departments that took up entire floors. But even regular department stores like Macy's or Jordan Marsh had impressive toy sections. Trains were set up and running on tracks. Bicycles were fully assembled so kids could actually sit on them. Board games were often opened so you could see the actual game board, not just a photo on a box. And there were demonstrators, people whose actual job was to show kids how toys worked. You want to see how that new Evel Knievel stunt cycle performed. The demonstrator would set it up and show you right there. Christmas season in a department store was something else entirely. Starting the day after Thanksgiving, these stores transformed into winter wonderlands. We're not talking about a few decorations. We're talking about elaborate window displays that people would travel from other states to see. Macy's and Lord & Taylor would spend months and serious money creating animated scenes in their windows. Families would make it a tradition to walk down Fifth Avenue and see the displays. Inside the store, there'd be a Santa's workshop set up, usually with a long line of kids waiting to sit on Santa's lap. The store Santa wasn't some guy they hired last week. These were professional Santas who came back year after year, who were trained to talk to kids, who had real beards, and who made every child feel like they'd met the real deal. Now let's talk about something that's completely disappeared. The tea room or restaurant inside the department store. Almost every major department store had a restaurant, and many had multiple dining options. Marshall Field's in Chicago had the Walnut Room, which is still there actually. One of the few survivors. These weren't food courts with Sbarro and Panda Express. These were actual sit-down restaurants with waitresses in uniforms, cloth napkins, and menus featuring things like chicken salad, Welsh rarebit, and pot pies served in actual ceramic dishes. Women would meet for lunch at the department store. They'd shop for a few hours, have a proper lunch with maybe a cocktail, and then shop some more. It was a social activity, a day out, not just an errand to check off a list. The restaurants were famous for certain dishes. If you went to Holly's in Cleveland, you had to try their Maurice salad. At Hudson's in Detroit, it was the Maurice salad there too, but a different recipe, and people had fierce loyalty to their version. These recipes were guarded secrets. Department stores would publish cookbooks of their restaurants' recipes, and they'd sell thousands of copies. People weren't just buying clothes and housewares at these stores. They were buying into a whole lifestyle. Here's something else that's gone. The gift wrapping service. You'd buy something, anything, and for a very small fee, or sometimes free during holidays, the store would wrap it beautifully. Not just stick it in a gift bag with some tissue paper. I'm talking about proper wrapping with quality paper, perfect corners, elaborate bows, and a gift card in a small envelope. There was usually an entire gift wrap department with several people whose only job was wrapping presents all day. During Christmas, they'd have a dozen people wrapping, and the line would stretch down the aisle. But nobody complained because the wrapping was so beautiful, you almost didn't want to unwrap the gift. The credit system in department stores was also completely different. Most major department stores had their own credit cards, and this was often the first credit card many Americans ever had. But it wasn't used like credit cards today. Most people paid their department store bill in full every month. The card was more about convenience and building a relationship with the store. When you had a store credit card, you were a valued customer. You'd get advance notice of sales, special shopping hours, invitations to fashion shows the store would host. Yes, department stores hosted fashion shows, usually in the restaurant or a dedicated event space, where they'd show off the new season's fashions with actual models. And customers would attend like it was a theatrical performance. Let's talk about quality, because this is crucial to understanding what we lost. When you bought something from a department store in the 1970s, it was going to last. A winter coat from Macy's would last you 10 years minimum. Shoes from the shoe department were real leather, properly constructed, and they could be resold. Bed linens were thick cotton that got softer with every wash instead of pilling after 3 months. The store stood behind what they sold. If something fell apart prematurely, you could bring it back, even without a receipt if you were a regular customer, and they'd replace it or give you store credit. The return policy wasn't printed in tiny letters on the back of the receipt, and it was understood that the store's reputation depended on customer satisfaction. The staff in these stores were career retail workers, not college kids working a summer job. The woman who sold you a winter coat had been in the coat department for 15 years. She knew which brands ran small, which styles looked good on which body types, and she could spot quality construction at a glance. She was an expert, and she took pride in that expertise. Department stores invested in training their employees because they knew these people were the face of the brand. A good salesperson could turn a one-time shopper into a customer for life. By the late 1970s, the cracks were already starting to show. Shopping malls were multiplying across America, and they offered something department stores in downtowns couldn't: free parking and everything under one roof in the suburbs. Discount retailers like Walmart and Kmart were expanding rapidly, offering lower prices even if the quality wasn't quite the same. And American consumers were starting to prioritize price over service, convenience over experience. The department stores tried to adapt. They opened branches in malls. They started discount divisions. But something essential was lost in the translation. A Macy's in a suburban mall wasn't the same as Macy's Herald Square. It couldn't be. What we lost when department stores declined wasn't just a place to shop. We lost a third place, a community gathering spot that wasn't home or work. We lost jobs that paid decent wages and offered real career paths for people without college degrees. We lost the transmission of knowledge from experienced workers to newcomers. We lost the idea that shopping could be a pleasurable experience, not just a transaction. We lost downtown areas that had foot traffic and vitality. We lost the art of customer service, of salesmanship, of taking pride in helping someone find exactly what they needed. Today, when a department store closes, which happens every few months it seems, it's reported as just another casualty of changing retail patterns. But each closing is the end of something bigger than a store. It's the end of jobs, of community landmarks, of shared experiences. The younger generation will never know what it was like to spend a Saturday at the department store with your mother, having lunch at the tea room, watching the window displays, being treated like your business mattered, even if you were only buying a pair of socks. The department store era is gone, and it's not coming back. We chose convenience and low prices, and we got Amazon and Walmart. That was the trade, and maybe it was worth it. But on a Saturday afternoon in 1975, walking through Macy's with the elevator operator, calling out floors and the smell of perfume in the air, and a saleswoman who actually knew her merchandise helping you find exactly what you needed. It sure didn't feel like we'd need to improve on that experience. It felt perfect exactly as it was.